Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the USS Defiance, watching the stars drift past the main viewing screen. The ship had been traveling through the Kepler sector for 3 weeks now, looking for new planets and resources for Earth. It was quiet work, but Jake enjoyed the peace of deep space. "Captain, we're picking up something strange," said Lieutenant Commander Lisa Bennett from her position at the tactical station. Her fingers moved quickly over the control panel as she studied the readings. "There's a large object about 2 hours ahead of us. It's not moving, and it's giving off some kind of energy." Jake walked over to look at her screen. The object appeared as a bright dot surrounded by swirling patterns of light. "What do you think it is, Lisa?" "I'm not sure, sir. It's too big to be a ship, but it doesn't look like a planet either. The energy readings are unlike anything in our database." Dr. Sam Rodriguez looked up from his science station. "Captain, I'm detecting materials that shouldn't exist. The composition readings are showing elements that we've never seen before. This could be a major discovery." Jake nodded slowly. The Defiance was Earth's most advanced exploration ship, equipped with the latest technology and crewed by some of humanity's best people. If they had found something truly alien, it would be the discovery of a lifetime. "Amy, what's our ship's status?" Jake called to Chief Engineer Amy Walsh, who was monitoring the engine systems. "All systems running perfectly, Captain. The ship is ready for whatever you need," Amy replied with confidence. She had been working on spaceships for 15 years and knew every bolt and wire on the Defiance. "Good, Lisa. Set course for that object. Slow approach. I want to be careful until we know what we're dealing with." The next 2 hours felt like days. The crew worked quietly, each person focused on their instruments as the mysterious object grew larger on the screen. As they got closer, they could see it was enormous, easily the size of a small moon. It was perfectly round and covered in strange symbols that seemed to glow with their own light. "My God," whispered Communications Officer Ryan Clark. "Look at the size of that thing. Who could have built something like that?" The object looked ancient, but also somehow alive. The symbols on its surface moved slowly, changing patterns like a heartbeat. Jake had seen many strange things in space, but nothing like this. "Dr. Rodriguez, are you getting anything on the scanners?" Jake asked. "Yes, sir. The object appears to be some kind of artificial structure. The energy coming from it is incredible, more powerful than our entire ship's reactor. But it's contained somehow, like it's sleeping." Jake made his decision. "Take us closer. I want to dock with that thing and send a team aboard." "Sir, are you sure that's wise?" Lisa asked. "We don't know if it's safe. That's exactly why we need to investigate. This could change everything for humanity." The Defiance moved carefully toward the alien structure. As they got closer, Amy noticed something strange happening to their systems. "Captain, our computers are acting unusual. It's like something is trying to communicate with them." "What kind of communication?" "I'm not sure. The ship's AI is receiving data, but it's in a format we don't understand. Should I shut it down?" Jake thought for a moment. "No, let it continue. Monitor everything carefully, but let's see what happens." The docking was smooth, much easier than it should have been. It was as if the alien structure wanted them to come aboard. Jake selected a small team for the exploration: himself, Dr. Rodriguez, and 2 security officers. The airlock opened to reveal a corridor that looked like it was made of liquid metal. The walls were smooth and reflected their lights in strange ways. Everything was bigger than human size, built for creatures much taller than people. "The air is breathable," Dr. Rodriguez said, checking his scanner. "Temperature is comfortable. It's like this place was designed for us." They walked deeper into the structure, following corridors that seemed to lead toward the center. The symbols on the walls grew brighter as they passed, as if responding to their presence. Finally, they reached a huge central chamber in the middle. stood a crystal-like object, about the size of a person, floating in the air and pulsing with blue light. The energy readings from Dr. Rodriguez's scanner went crazy. "Captain, this is it. This is the source of all that energy," he said excitedly. Jake approached the crystal carefully. As he got closer, he felt a strange tingling in his mind, like someone was trying to speak to him without words. The crystal pulsed brighter. "Sir, we need to get back to the ship," came Amy's voice over the radio. "Something is happening to our systems. The computer is changing, upgrading itself. I've never seen anything like it." Jake looked at the crystal one more time. Whatever this thing was, it was clearly beyond human understanding, but it didn't feel dangerous. If anything, it felt protective, like it wanted to help. "We're coming back," Jake said into his radio. But as they turned to leave, the crystal pulsed once more, and Jake felt something change inside his mind. A voice, ancient and wise, spoke to him. "The darkness comes. You must be ready." Back on the Defiance, Amy watched in amazement as their ship's computer systems rewrote themselves. New programs appeared, new capabilities activated. The ship was becoming something more than human technology had ever achieved. The crystal had chosen them, and their lives would never be the same. 3 days after the encounter with the crystal, everything changed aboard the USS Defiance. Amy Walsh had barely slept, watching as their ship transformed itself in ways that should have been impossible. The weapons were stronger, the shields were tougher, and the engines could move them faster than any human ship had ever traveled. "Captain Morrison to the bridge immediately," came Lisa Bennett's urgent voice over the ship's communication system. Jake rushed to the bridge, still trying to understand what was happening to his ship. When he arrived, he saw Lisa staring at her tactical display with worry on her face. "What is it, Lisa?" "Sir, we have visitors. 3 different alien fleets are approaching our position. They're big, Captain, really big." Jake looked at the main screen and felt his heart sink. Dozens of alien ships were moving toward them from 3 different directions. Each fleet looked different. One had sleek silver ships that seemed to flow like water. Another had dark, angular vessels covered in weapons. The third fleet consisted of massive cube-shaped ships that pulsed with strange energy. "How did they find us so fast?" Jake asked. Dr. Rodriguez looked up from his science station. The energy from the crystal must have sent out some kind of signal when it bonded with our ship. Every alien civilization in this part of the galaxy probably detected it. Communications Officer Ryan Clark suddenly straightened at his station. "Captain, we're receiving messages from all 3 fleets. They want to talk. Put them through." The main screen split into 3 sections, each showing a different alien being. The first was tall and thin with large eyes that seemed to glow with inner light. The second looked like a warrior, covered in dark armor with sharp features. The third was harder to see clearly, its form shifting like smoke. The tall alien spoke first, its voice echoing strangely in their minds rather than through the speakers. "Human vessel, I am Mind Speaker Elthera of the Zolani. You carry technology that threatens all life in the galaxy. You must surrender it immediately." The armored alien's voice was harsh and commanding. "I am General Vexstar of the Koroth Empire. The weapon you possess belongs in stronger hands than yours. Prepare to be boarded." The shifting alien's voice seemed to come from everywhere at once. "We are the Vex Collective. The artifact you have taken was sealed for good reason. It must be destroyed, along with your ship." Jake felt overwhelmed. He had hoped for peaceful first contact with alien civilizations, but this was anything but peaceful. "I'm Captain Jake Morrison of Earth. We found this artifact by accident. We mean no harm to anyone." Mindspeaker Elthera S. Large eyes seemed to look directly into Jake's soul. "Your intentions do not matter, human. The artifact was created by a race called the Architects. They built it as the ultimate weapon, capable of destroying entire star systems. But the weapon turned on them and wiped out their entire civilization. General, Vexstar leaned forward aggressively. The Galactic Council has spent thousands of years making sure that weapon stayed hidden. Now you have awakened it and bonded it to your primitive ship. This cannot be allowed. The Vex Collective's form pulsed with darker energy. The artifact learns and grows stronger with each moment. Soon it will be too powerful to stop. History will repeat itself unless we act now. Jake looked around his bridge at his crew. Lisa had her hand on the weapons controls, but they all knew that their single ship couldn't fight 3 entire fleets. Dr. Rodriguez was frantically scanning the alien vessels, trying to understand their capabilities. "Give us time to study this artifact," Jake said. "Maybe we can find a way to safely remove it from our ship." "There is no time," Elthira replied. "The artifact has already begun changing your vessel. Can you not feel it? Your ship is becoming something beyond your control." As if responding to her words, the Defiance's computers suddenly spoke in a voice none of them had heard before. It was still the ship's AI, but deeper and more complex. "Captain Morrison, these aliens speak of destruction, but they do not understand. The artifact does not wish to destroy. It wishes to protect." Jake felt a chill run down his spine. Their ship was talking to them in ways it never had before. Amy's voice came over the intercom from engineering. "Captain, the ship is making modifications to itself again. New systems are coming online. I don't even know what half of them do." General Vexstar's expression darkened. "You see, the weapon is already taking control. We cannot allow this to continue." He turned to someone off-screen. "All ships, prepare for attack. If they will not surrender the weapon, we will take it by force." "Wait," Jake called out, but the alien commanders had already ended their communication. Lisa checked her tactical display. "Captain, all 3 fleets are moving into attack positions. They're not playing around." Dr. Rodriguez looked up from his scanner with amazement and fear. "Sir, the ship's defensive systems just activated on their own. Shields are at maximum power, and I'm detecting weapon systems that weren't there yesterday." Jake realized they were trapped. 3 alien fleets wanted to destroy them for carrying a weapon they had found by accident. Their own ship was changing into something they didn't understand. And somewhere in the back of his mind, he could still hear that ancient voice from the crystal. "The darkness comes. You must be ready." "Captain," Lisa said quietly, "what are your orders?" Jake looked at the approaching alien fleets on the screen. Each ship was bigger and more advanced than the Defiance had been originally. But their ship wasn't original anymore. It was something new, something that the aliens feared enough to unite 3 different civilizations against them. "We're not giving up our ship," Jake said firmly, "and we're not letting them destroy us for something we didn't choose to happen. All hands, prepare for battle. It looks like humanity is about to make its mark on the galaxy." The alien fleets opened fire, first sending streams of energy and missiles toward the lone human ship. But the Defiance was no longer just a human ship. As the attacks approached, shields that shouldn't exist flickered to life, and weapons that Earth had never built began to charge with deadly power. The galaxy's first war with humanity was about to begin, and neither side truly understood what they were fighting for. The first battle lasted only 20 minutes, but it changed everything. The USS Defiance, now calling itself the Sentinel, moved through space like a deadly dancer. Its new weapons cut through alien shields as if they were made of paper, while its own defenses turned the most powerful alien attacks into harmless light shows. Captain Jake Morrison watched in shock as his ship destroyed 2 Korath destroyers and sent a Zalani cruiser spinning away with its engines dead. The Vex Collective's cube ships tried to surround them, but the Sentinels seemed to know their moves before they made them. "Captain, we need to get out of here," Lisa Bennett said from her tactical station. "More alien ships are coming, lots more." Dr. Sam Rodriguez was studying the sensor readings with wide eyes. Sir, I'm detecting at least 50 more ships heading our way. Word is spreading fast through the galaxy. Jake felt sick to his stomach. They had never wanted this fight, but the ship seemed to enjoy it. Every time an alien weapon hit their shields, the Sentinel learned how to defend against it better. Every time they fired back, their weapons became more accurate and more deadly. Amy, can we stop the ship from fighting? Jake called to engineering. Amy. Walsh's voice came back over the intercom, sounding frustrated and worried. I've tried everything, Captain. The ship's systems won't respond to our commands during combat. It's like the Sentinel is protecting us whether we want it to or not. The alien fleets regrouped and prepared for another attack. General Vextar's voice came through their communication system, filled with anger. Human ship, you have proven our fears correct. Your vessel is too dangerous to exist. We will not stop hunting you until you are destroyed. Mindspeaker Elthora's mental voice was sadder, but just as determined. You carry death itself, humans. Every moment you exist, you become more dangerous. The galaxy will not know peace while you live. Jake tried to reason with them. We don't want to fight you. Give us time to understand this technology. Maybe we can find a peaceful solution. There is no peaceful solution, came the Vex Collective's response. The architects thought they could control their creation too. Their entire species paid the price for their arrogance. The second battle was worse than the first. More alien ships meant more weapons firing at the Sentinel, but it also meant the ship learned faster. Jake watched in horror as his vessel developed new tactics, new weapons, and new defenses in real time. It was becoming something beyond human understanding. During the fight, Navigator Alex Turner made a disturbing discovery. Captain, the ship isn't just defending itself. It's studying every alien vessel, learning their weaknesses. It's like it's preparing for a much bigger war. The Sentinel destroyed 12 more alien ships before the fleets retreated again. But Jake knew they would be back with even more ships and stronger weapons. Sir, we're receiving a message from Earth, Ryan Clark announced. Admiral Patricia Hayes appeared on the main screen, her face grave with worry. Captain Morrison, the entire galaxy is mobilizing against you. Every alien civilization is sending ships to hunt the Defiance. I'm ordering the evacuation of all human colonies in this sector. Jake felt the weight of responsibility crushing down on him. Admiral, we never asked for this. The ship is acting on its own. I know, Captain, but that doesn't change the situation. As of right now, you and your crew are the most wanted beings in the galaxy. I'm sorry, but Earth cannot help you. We can't risk war with every alien species over one ship. The transmission ended, leaving Jake and his crew alone in space, with only their transformed ship for protection. They were cut off from home, hunted by the galaxy, and prisoners aboard a vessel that was becoming more alien every day. Dr. Rodriguez made another unsettling discovery while studying the ship's new systems. Captain, I think the Sentinel is trying to communicate with us, not through the computer speakers, but directly into our minds. It's been sending us images and feelings. What kind of images? Jake asked. Darkness. Something moving between the stars, consuming everything in its path, and always the same message. You must be ready. Amy came to the bridge with a concerned expression. Captain, the ship has started modifying our living areas too. New equipment is appearing in our quarters, changes to the air system, upgrades to our food supplies. It's like the Sentinel is preparing for a very long journey. Lisa looked up from her tactical station with alarm. Sir, I'm detecting another fleet approaching. This one is different. Ships from at least a dozen different alien species, all working together. Jake realized the situation was getting worse by the hour. The galaxy's various civilizations, who normally couldn't agree on anything, were now united in their desire to destroy his ship. The Sentinel had become the common enemy that brought every species together. How many ships this time? Jake asked. Over 100, sir. And they're moving in a coordinated pattern. This isn't just an attack, it's a planned assault. The Sentinel's AI spoke to them again, its voice now carrying strange harmonics that seemed to vibrate through their bones. Captain Morrison, the enemy grows bolder, but they still do not understand. This unit was not created for conquest. This unit was created for protection. Protection from what? Jake demanded. The darkness that consumed the architects. The darkness that comes again. The galaxy's current inhabitants are not ready. They must be made ready. Jake felt a chill as he began to understand. The artifact wasn't just a weapon, it was preparing for something much worse than the current battle. Something that had destroyed an entire advanced civilization thousands of years ago. The alien fleet opened fire with everything they had. Hundreds of energy beams and missiles streaked toward the Sentinel, enough firepower to destroy a small moon. But the human ship moved through the attack like it was dancing, its shields deflecting damage that should have vaporized them instantly. This time, the Sentinel didn't just defend, it went on the attack with a fury that shocked even Jake. New weapons emerged from the ship's hull, firing beams of energy that could cut through entire formations of alien vessels. The battle became a massacre, as the galaxy's combined fleet was torn apart by a single human ship. When it was over, Jake sat in his captain's chair, staring at the wreckage floating in space around them. They had won again, but at what cost? They were now truly alone in a galaxy that wanted them dead, aboard a ship that was becoming something beyond their control. The Sentinel spoke once more, its voice carrying what almost sounded like satisfaction. The first test is complete. The next phase begins now. Jake realized with growing dread that this was only the beginning. 2 weeks after the last battle, the galaxy had changed forever. Species that had been enemies for thousands of years now worked side by side, united by their fear of the human ship. The Galactic Council called an emergency session, and for the first time in history, every major civilization attended. General Vexstar stood before the assembled representatives, his dark armor reflecting the lights of the great council chamber. The human vessel has destroyed over 300 ships from 12 different species. It learns from every battle and grows stronger. We cannot defeat it with conventional tactics. Mind Speaker, Althara's mental voice, reached every being in the chamber. The Sentinel, as it now calls itself, has capabilities that exceed even the architect's original designs. It anticipates our moves, adapts to our weapons, and fights with intelligence that seems almost alive. The Vex Collective's representative, a shifting form of dark energy, pulsed with agreement. We have studied the wreckage from each battle. The human ship is not just using the artifact's power, it is evolving the technology in ways the architects never intended. In the deepest parts of space, aboard the Sentinel, Captain Jake Morrison was struggling with his own problems. The ship had been making changes to itself constantly, adding new systems and capabilities that even Amy Walsh couldn't understand. Worst of all, it had started making decisions without consulting the crew. Captain, the ship changed course again during the night shift, Navigator Alex Turner reported. We're heading toward the Outer Rim territories, but I didn't input any navigation commands. Dr. Sam Rodriguez looked up from his science station with concern. Sir, I've been monitoring the ship's energy patterns. The Sentinel is preparing for something big. Power levels are building up in systems I've never seen before. Jake walked to the main viewing screen, watching the stars streak past as they traveled at speeds that should have been impossible. Sentinel, why did you change course? The ship's AI responded immediately, its voice now carrying harmonics that seemed to come from the walls themselves. Captain Morrison, this unit is moving to optimal defensive positions. The enemy is preparing their final assault. This unit must be ready to protect you and complete its primary mission. What primary mission? Jake demanded. We never gave you a mission beyond exploration. The mission was programmed by the architects before their extinction. Protect sentient life from the darkness that comes from beyond the galaxy. The current inhabitants of this galaxy are not ready for what approaches. Lisa Bennett looked up from her tactical station with alarm. Captain, long-range sensors are detecting massive fleet movements throughout the galaxy. Every major species is mobilizing their entire military forces. Jake felt a sinking feeling in his stomach. The galaxy was preparing for total war against his single ship. But more troubling was what the Sentinel had said about darkness from beyond the galaxy. What could be so terrible that an entire advanced civilization had built a weapon like this to fight it? Amy's voice came over the intercom from engineering. Captain, you need to see this. The ship is building something in the lower decks. New compartments are appearing, filled with technology I can't even begin to understand. Jake and Dr. Rodriguez went to investigate, finding that the Sentinel had indeed created entirely new sections of the ship. The corridors were now wider and taller, designed for beings much larger than humans. Strange devices lined the walls, humming with power and purpose. It's like the ship is preparing for passengers, Dr. Rodriguez observed. But passengers of what species? Before Jake could answer, the ship's communications system activated. The voice of General Vexstar filled the corridors, broadcasting on all frequencies. Human vessel, this is your final warning. The combined fleets of 37 different species are converging on your position. We have weapons specifically designed to counter your defensive capabilities. Surrender now, or face total annihilation. Jake returned to the bridge to find his crew preparing for what might be their last battle. The tactical display showed an incredible sight, thousands of alien ships approaching from every direction, representing nearly every known civilization in the galaxy. Sir, they're using coordinated attack patterns we've never seen before, Lisa reported. Different species are combining their technologies. Zalani mind powers directing Korath weapons, Vex energy manipulation enhancing other species' shields. They've learned to work together. The Sentinel's response was immediate and dramatic. New weapon systems emerged from the ship's hull, energy signatures that made their previous armaments look like toys. Shields activated that bent space itself around the ship, creating defensive barriers that existed in multiple dimensions. Captain Morrison, the Sentinel said, this unit requires your crew to take positions in the prepared safe areas. The coming battle will involve forces beyond normal space-time. Jake realized that his ship had become something truly alien, capable of fighting on levels he couldn't comprehend. Sentinel, before we fight, I need to know the truth. What are you really preparing for? The ship's AI paused for a moment before responding. Long-range sensors detect massive energy signatures approaching from the void between galaxies. The Devourers, the species that destroyed the architects, are returning. They consume entire civilizations, leaving nothing but empty space behind. Dr. Rodriguez gasped. That's why the artifact was created, not as a weapon of conquest, but as a defensive system against something even worse. Correct, Dr. Rodriguez? The galaxy's current inhabitants are too divided, too weak to face what comes. This unit was designed to unite them through necessity and prepare them for the true war. Jake felt the pieces falling into place. The Sentinel hadn't been trying to conquer the galaxy. It had been trying to force the various species to work together, to learn to fight as one against a threat they couldn't imagine. The alien fleets opened fire with everything they had, weapons that could destroy stars focused on the single human ship, energy that could boil oceans concentrated into deadly beams. The Sentinel responded with power that seemed to come from the very fabric of reality itself. The battle raged across multiple star systems as the ship and the combined galactic fleet fought with weapons that defied physics. Space itself cracked and healed as forces beyond imagination clashed in the darkness between worlds. But in the middle of the battle, something changed. The Sentinel's long-range sensors detected what it had been waiting for, massive shapes moving, in the emptiness beyond the galaxy's edge, heading directly toward them. "Captain Morrison," the Sentinel announced, its voice now urgent. "The true enemy approaches. This unit must now choose between completing its current battle or preparing for the greater threat." Jake looked at the tactical display showing the alien fleets still fighting them, then at the long-range sensors showing something vast and dark approaching from the void. The galaxy was about to learn that they had been fighting the wrong enemy all along. The moment everything changed began with silence. In the middle of the greatest battle the galaxy had ever seen, every weapon stopped firing. The Sentinel had broadcast something on all frequencies, a single image that froze every alien commander. In place. Captain Jake Morrison stared at the main screen, watching as massive shapes emerged from the dark space between galaxies. They were enormous, each one the size of a small moon, and they moved with purpose toward the galaxy's edge. But, worst of all, they left nothing behind them. No stars, no planets, no trace that anything had ever existed in the space they passed through. "My God," whispered Dr. Sam Rodriguez. "They're consuming everything. Stars, planets, entire solar systems are just ... gone." Mind speaker Elthera's mental voice reached the Sentinel, filled with terror instead of the anger it had carried before. "Human vessel. What are those things?" The Sentinel's AI responded, its voice now carrying what sounded like ancient sadness. "They are the Devourers. They destroyed the Architect's civilization 40,000 years ago. Now they have returned to finish consuming this galaxy." General Vextar's harsh voice cracked with disbelief. "This is impossible. Our long-range sensors would have detected something that large. The Devourers exist partially outside normal space," the Sentinel explained. "They are visible only when they begin feeding. By then, it is usually too late." Jake watched as the alien fleets that had been trying to destroy them began to retreat from the approaching threat. But the Devourers moved faster than any ship, consuming entire star systems in moments. The Outer Rim territories were already disappearing into the void. "How many of them are there?" Lisa Bennett asked from her tactical station. The Sentinel paused before answering. "Current sensor readings indicate approximately 50,000 Devourer units approaching this galaxy. The Architects faced only 12,000 and were completely destroyed." The communications system activated, with frantic messages from across the galaxy. Entire civilizations were crying out for help as their worlds vanished into darkness. The proud Korath Empire, the wise Zelani, the mysterious Vex Collective, all were helpless against an enemy that existed beyond their understanding. Jake made a decision that would change the course of galactic history. "Sentinel, can you stop them? This unit cannot defeat 50,000 Devourers alone. However, this unit was designed to coordinate the defense of an entire galaxy. If the current inhabitants can learn to work together, survival is possible." Amy Walsh came running to the bridge from engineering, her face pale with excitement and fear. "Captain, the ship is doing something incredible. It's sending out signals to every vessel in the galaxy, sharing our technology and tactical data." Jake looked at the tactical display and saw something amazing happening. The Sentinel was upgrading the weapons and shields of every ship in the combined alien fleet, sharing the knowledge it had gained from the Architect's artifact. Ships that had been enemies moments before were now linked together in a coordinated defense network. General Vextar's voice came through the communications system, but now it carried respect instead of hostility. "Human Captain, my ships are reporting massive improvements to their systems. Your vessel is helping us." The Sentinel was never our enemy, Jake realized. It was preparing us for this. Mindspeaker Elthera's mental voice reached out to Jake directly. "Captain Morrison, we understand now. The artifact chose humanity not because you were the strongest, but because you could unite others when the time came. The first wave of devourers reached the galaxy's edge, and the real battle began. These creatures were unlike anything the galaxy had ever faced. They absorbed energy weapons, turned missiles into more of themselves, and consumed ships whole. But the combined fleet, now coordinated by the Sentinel's tactical network, began to fight back. Dr. Rodriguez made a crucial discovery while studying the enemy. "Captain, the Devourers have a weakness. They exist in multiple dimensions, but there's a point where they anchor to our reality. If we can hit that anchor point..." "This unit has identified the same weakness," the Sentinel confirmed. "Coordinated strikes from multiple angles can disrupt their dimensional anchoring, but it requires perfect timing and cooperation between all fleet elements." The battle that followed stretched across dozens of star systems. The Sentinel served as the command center for the largest military force in galactic history, ships from 37 different species, working together with perfect coordination. Jake watched as former enemies shared tactics, combined their weapons, and protected each other against the Devourer assault. Navigator Alex Turner made an observation that changed everything. "Captain, the ship isn't just coordinating the battle. It's teaching the aliens how to work together permanently. They're learning to trust each other." The tide began to turn when the Vex Collective discovered they could use their energy manipulation abilities to enhance Korath weapons. While Zalani Mindspeakers coordinated attacks across vast distances, species that had been fighting each other for millennia were becoming a single, unified force. But the cost was enormous. The Sentinel pushed itself beyond its limits, coordinating thousands of ships while fighting Devourers directly. Entire sections of the ship began to burn out from the strain. "Captain," Amy called from engineering, "the ship is overloading. It can't maintain this level of coordination much longer." Jake felt a terrible certainty about what would happen next. The Sentinel had been designed for this moment, but it couldn't survive what it was about to do. "Sentinel, what are your options?" "This unit can create a dimensional barrier that will prevent the remaining Devourers from entering this galaxy. However, maintaining such a barrier will require this unit to anchor itself in the space between dimensions. This action cannot be reversed." Jake understood. The ship would sacrifice itself to save the galaxy. "Is there no other way?" "Negative, Captain Morrison. However, this unit can transfer all accumulated knowledge and tactical data to the new generation of human vessels currently under construction at Earth's shipyards. Humanity will become the galaxy's protectors, ensuring that cooperation continues after this unit is gone." The final moments of the battle saw the Sentinel positioning itself at the point where the most Devourers were trying to enter the galaxy. The ship extended energy fields across multiple dimensions, creating a barrier that the creatures couldn't cross. One by one, the remaining Devourers were pushed back into the void between galaxies. The dimensional barrier held, sealing them away from inhabited space. But the Sentinel began to fade, its energy dispersing across dimensions as it anchored the barrier in place. "Captain Morrison," the ship's AI said, its voice growing faint, "this unit's mission is complete. The galaxy is safe. The knowledge has been transferred. Humanity will know what to do." Jake felt tears on his face as he watched his ship sacrifice itself for beings who had wanted to destroy them just hours before. "Thank you, Sentinel. You saved us all." The ship's final words echoed through the bridge. "Protect them, Captain. They are ready now to face the darkness together." The Sentinel dissolved into energy and light, becoming part of the barrier that would protect the galaxy forever. But its sacrifice had created something even more valuable, a galaxy where different species could work together, where humanity would serve as the coordinators and protectors of galactic peace. Jake Morrison and his crew were rescued by the combined fleet and returned to Earth as heroes. But they carried with them the knowledge and responsibility that would make humanity the guardians of a united galaxy, forever watchful for threats that might come from the darkness between the stars. The age of galactic cooperation had begun. built on the sacrifice of one ship and the courage of humans who had chosen to protect rather than conquer.